In a town wrecked by a mysterious virus, a family has been hiding in a fallout shelter for 301 days, and they strongly believe they're the last ones remaining. Parents Ray and Claire constantly remind their daughter, Zoe, don't be loud, don't lose control, and never leave the shelter, because the spooky breathers outside might eat her. One morning, Zoe wakes up from a nightmare and hides under the bed. When Claire checks on her, Zoe claims it's her talking doll that's scared. Classic excuse. Claire takes her to Ray, who reassures her that everything's fine. They play their little report game, where Ray lists off his totally uneventful night shift. Zoe, still skeptical, climbs the ladder to triple-check the hatch locks. All secure. After adding another tally mark to their long stay, Zoe picks a can of peaches for breakfast. Not that there's much else to pick from. But then disaster. The can has a hole. A rat has been feasting on their food stash, eating 2 whole weeks' worth of rations. Claire and Ray freak out and throw away the ruined cans while Zoe panics that the breathers might sneak in too. Her parents assure her that, unless the breathers are tiny, they won't fit through the air duct. With food running low, Claire declares they'll have to eat even less. Zoe is not happy, since they were already on a barely eating diet. Breakfast ends up being beans again, and Zoe starts ranting about how much life in the bunker sucks. No outside, no friends, no fun. Ray, however, shuts her down fast. At least she still has her parents, which is more than most people got after the outbreak. Zoe pouts but knows he's right, though that doesn't make the beans any tastier. Life isn't great, but hey, there's still breathing. Ray calls every tally mark on the wall a miracle. After a super fancy breakfast, the family plays a board game. Ray covers Zoe's eyes and makes silly noises to help her imagine they're back in town, eating ice cream. It works, she's happy for a bit. Later, Claire and Ray have a serious talk. Claire's worried because they're getting a little too skinny. Ray, ever the hero, says he'll go outside for food if needed. Claire argues it's too dangerous, but Ray shuts her up the romantic way. One thing leads to another, and they have some quiet fun while Zoe plays cards in the other room. Afterward, Ray naps and has nightmares about the day everything went south. Later, while playing the board game, Zoe wonders if they're truly the last people left. Claire hands her the periscope they rigged up so she can peek outside. Zoe is excited until she sees their town is now just a depressing wasteland. A bird startles her, and she quickly checks the shelter hatch, locked tight. Phew, but Claire reminds her that sometimes the truth isn't so obvious. Zoe spots an intruder, a rat raiding their food stash. They wake up Ray, who immediately goes full action hero, dagger in hand. He sneaks up, ready to strike, but the rat has other plans. It dashes away, knocking over a lamp in the process. Ray goes after the rat, but his dagger gets stuck in the floor. Great job, Ray. Luckily, Claire grabs a wrench and absolutely obliterates the rat before it can escape. Crisis averted, or so they think. That's when they notice the lamp's flames spreading across the table. Ray, having a rare moment of foresight, touches the glass and realizes, oh no, this is about to explode. Now there's a big fire, and to make things worse, the board game starts burning. Claire has to physically stop Zoe from running in to save it like it's a priceless artifact. While Ray wrestles with the world's most stubborn water pump, Claire hides Zoe in the corner and tries to smother the flames with a cloth. Zoe, unable to sit still for 2 seconds, jumps in and starts whacking at the fire with her jacket. After what feels like forever, Ray finally gets the pump to work, and they manage to put out the worst of the flames. Now the room is pitch black. Claire scrambles to turn on another lamp, and they immediately panic when they don't see Zoe. Turns out she's hiding under the bed, crying. Through tears, she explains that the smoke is escaping through the air duct, which means the breathers will see it. Cue dramatic flashback. The day of the outbreak, Ray and Claire were just trying to enjoy breakfast when Zoe casually mentioned that the neighbors are moving. It was not a normal move. Ray and Claire were confused when they saw their neighbors in full panic mode, stuffing their car with bags. When they asked what was going on, the neighbors refused to answer. But their kid, Joey, spilled the beans. Some government guy said there was a virus that made people go bad. Before Joey could say more, his parents tossed him in the car and sped off. Meanwhile, cars zoomed away down the street, making things even sketchier. And just when things couldn't get weirder, Ray and Claire accidentally set off their fire alarm while making breakfast. Great timing. Back in the present, Claire remembers that day just as Ray realizes it's almost nighttime. He hopes the darkness will hide the smoke from the breathers, but just to be sure, he checks the periscope. Bad news, there's a lot of smoke. Claire panics, Zoe cries, and Ray tries to calm them down, saying that by the time the breathers get there, the smoke will be gone. Plus, they've never found the shelter before, so why would they now? Unfortunately, Claire has a light bulb moment. The smoke will be gone, but the ash will still be there. Oh, that means one thing. Cleanup time. Ray agrees they have no choice. Zoe wants to help, but Claire forces her to stay put. With no other options, Ray and Claire unchain the hatch and open it for the first time in months. As they scramble to clean up the ash, Zoe decides to do some sneaky spy work and grabs the periscope to watch. Zoe gets startled by a shadow. Turns out it's just her parents. Phew! But before she can fully relax, she sees something creepy approaching. She yells to warn her parents, but they don't hear her. Great. Panicking, she rushes to open the shelter hatch. She starts yelling again, and Claire has to clamp a hand over her mouth, reminding her that loud equals bad. Zoe warns them about incoming breathers, but surprise, it's just some deer sprinting by. Ray relaxes, thinking it was a false alarm, but Claire, ever the realist, points out that the deer were running from something. Oh! Zoe gets startled. Back in the shelter, Ray seals the entrance while they all listen nervously. They hear footsteps, just one set, which is weird because breathers usually travel in packs. Zoe is full-on terrified, so Ray closes her eyes and tells her a nice little story to calm her down. So far, so good. Then disaster strikes. Zoe's doll gets caught on a pipe, the string comes loose, and the doll starts talking. Ray, thinking fast, snatches the doll, rips it open, and destroys the voice box. Zoe, of course, starts bawling. R.I.P. doll. As if on cue, the hatch starts shaking violently. Claire scrambles up the ladder to hold it shut, only for a chain to smack her in the head. More chains start snapping one by one, while Ray fights with the water pump like his life depends on it. He finally yanks out a pipe and rushes to hand it to Claire, who is now literally hanging onto the last chain for dear life. Talk about a stressful family bonding moment. Ray and Claire manage to push the creepy breather away from the hatch, whacking him with a pipe until they can lock it shut. Crisis averted, or not. The breathing outside continues. Oh, turns out Mr. Breather brought friends. Now the whole shelter is shaking like an out-of-control washing machine. Flashback time. Back on Outbreak Day, Ray's family tried to escape by car, only to find the authorities blocking the roads. Their town was officially a no-go zone. Then, as if that wasn't bad enough, an earthquake dropped a rock on their car. Great day all around. Back in the present, the breathers finally break through the hatch. The family runs for their lives, and Claire smashes a lamp to start a fire, because why not add more danger? She and Ray shove the pantry in the way, but that won't hold for long. Thinking fast, Ray lifts Claire and Zoe into an air duct. They're small enough to fit. Ray, however, is not. In a last-ditch effort, he lets Claire yank his arm out of its socket, ow, so she can pull him through. Just when it seems like he'll make it, the breathers grab his legs and drag him back. A scuffle breaks out in the dark. Claire and Zoe hear a nasty splatter sound, and they assume the worst. Ray is a goner. Zoe throws a full-on tantrum, and Claire has to calm her down. Then, oh great, shadows start approaching. The duo bolts through the forest, tripping like horror movie extras, until they reach an abandoned road. There, they find a giant wall with security cameras. Before they can process that, a helicopter appears, spots them immediately, and captures them with a giant net. Not the rescue they were hoping for. Just when Claire and Zoe think they're about to get eaten by monsters, surprise. The monsters are actually soldiers wearing face masks. Before they can react, the soldiers stick needles in them, and BM, flashback time, In BM, flashback time, turns out the big scary earthquake wasn't an earthquake at all. It was jets dropping bombs to wipe out infected people. Yikes. In the chaos, Claire remembered the school had a shelter, so the family ran for it, diving in just before another bomb exploded. Inside, they found plenty of food and even toys for Zoe. Not too bad, except Claire had a cut on her hand. And yep, you guessed it, infected. Her hand was turning black. Back to the present. The soldiers finish taking blood samples and casually decide to execute the duo. Rude. That's when Claire starts freaking out and, her veins start changing color. Turns out, never lose control wasn't just a good life tip. Strong emotions actually activate the virus and trigger transformations. Cue the dramatic entrance. A fully transformed Ray bursts in, going full zombie Hulk on the soldiers. Zoe suddenly realizes the blood she saw back in the shelter was actually from her dad's previous murder spree. Oops. Ray wrecks a bunch of soldiers, but there are too many of them, and they eventually gun him down. While the soldiers are busy dealing with zombie dad, Claire and Zoe wiggle out of the net and make a run for it. Zoe hides in a car, while Claire goes full beast mode, tearing through soldiers like it's her day job. She takes out a bunch, but the last one shoots her in the leg, making her fall. Just as he's about to finish her off, Zoe decides it's sure turn to Hulk out and beats the guy up. She's about to finish the job, but Claire stops her. Moms really don't want their kids becoming murderers. Zoe, still in rage mode, turns on her own mom, but Claire calmly reminds her of the rules and probably her curfew, helping Zoe snap out of it. Afterward, Zoe bandages Claire's leg and asks what to do with the last soldier. Claire, channeling her inner movie villain, is like, hey, let the virus have him. Then they check on Ray, who sadly closes his daughter's eyes one last time before passing away. Cue sad music. Right on time, a helicopter shows up again, so Claire and Zoe book it into the sewers. While sneaking through the dark, something suddenly moves. Jump scare, but plot twist, it's just Joey. Turns out he's been chilling with a whole group of sewer survivors, and they invite Claire and Zoe to join them. As they climb down, Zoe sees sunlight for the first time in months and dramatically counts 302 miracles.